Good morning and welcome to MyMoto in Derbyshire. Friends of the channel, I've come to see Phil because he did something very...
Nerve-wracking.
Nerve-wracking? Did you find it nerve-wracking?
Yeah.
I was invited to a launch of a new Dunlop tyre. Thank you very much, Dunlop. Was it a few weeks ago now?
It was about, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, yeah.
All set, all good to go, and I just thought to myself, actually, I'm due to go off on tour the day after. Not that I was putting you in harm's way, by the way. There's the old burner again. You might be able to hear some ambient noise in the background, so through the power of magic, I'm going to remove it. Listen. Here it goes. There you go. Just us speaking now, that's it. Magic, eh? Technology, you've got to love it. I didn't want to cancel because I don't like letting people down, but I also decided that it probably wouldn't be the best idea for me to go off hurtling around a racetrack the day before going off on a tour when I've got 15 people to look after and I'm in charge of, kind of thing. So I thought, I know a guy that will be able to step in and do it for me. So I spoke to Phil and I said, fancy racing around Donington racetrack tomorrow? He's like, yes. So Phil went down to the launch. Tell us what you got up to on the day, how it went and what you took from it.
So, starting off was the day before, because it was only the day before you rang me and went, are you interested in doing this tyre launch?
Yeah.
And it is like anyone who's kind of seen journalists doing these things or people on YouTube doing it, it is like a dream, isn't it? To get invited to ride someone else's bike around Donington Park, brand new set of tyres. Yeah, it is the dream.
Listening to all the technology that's involved.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, sorry to butt in there, but at the end of the day, as a consumer, you're just buying a tyre, aren't you?
Yeah.
Probably because you've heard someone else say this is a good tyre.
Yeah.
As in, like, it's actually really good in dry, really good in wet. You don't really know the stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting.
When we got to the circuit, there was a whole presentation done by Dimitri, all about what they've implemented into the tyre, what the gains they've tried to make over the previous SportSmart 3, and then tried to improve into the SportSmart 4. And they were talking about the polymers and the carbon content. So the main aim was to increase, obviously, overall grip, whilst keeping the longevity of the tyre, so it wouldn't, you can make a sticky tyre that'll just do a couple of laps on a track. Yeah. But this is a road tyre; it needs to do some distance as well.
It is marketed as a full road tyre.
It is a road tyre, yeah. And they even said that when we went out on track, they said, this isn't a track tyre. We're going to run slightly higher tyre pressures.
Yeah.
What they've done though is they were saying how the carbon content in the rubber actually holds the heat. So if you're on the road and you can get that heat into the tyre, it will hold it. So if you go down a long straight where the tyre's not really working, or you come to a slower section, maybe going through a village or a town, the tyre doesn't cool as quick. So you're going to keep that level of warmth and hence traction.
So you're not constantly having to work it, you've just got to...
Exactly, yeah. You
sit back and relax, basically.
Yeah, and it gives you that confidence in it to think, the tyre's going to still be warm when you come out. You're not going to have to kind of ease back into the ride. You can just jump on it and go again. So one of the other things they were saying was when they're making a tyre, there is so many variables from not just the material they're using and what's in that material, but the temperature of the mould, how fast they inject the mould, how fast or slow they cool it. And there is literally so many variables, they can't 100% tell what they're going to get. They aim for a tyre that's going to do all these things, but it's only once they make it, they find the results.
Yes, yeah.
And they put
do
it through
the testing and then,
Exactly,
and it could be a complete turkey.
Oh, totally.
And then right back to the drawing board, start again.
When they were telling us about all these variables, that's when you realise, you'll have like the odd motorcycle racer maybe do an interview after a race and say, it was a bad tyre. I was struggling because I had a bad tyre. And it's because even with all the kind of controls that they have in place to make sure every tyre is exact, such small elements can change how a tyre responds, that even in manufacturing there can be one that's better than another. But what they were saying when they made these tyres, they were trying to increase it holding temperature. They were trying to increase grip on slippery surfaces, so you white lines, manhole covers, anything like that where you've got a reduced amount of traction, and they can actually measure the increase in grip. So what they were saying, over the SportSmart 3, the SportSmart 4 has 20% more grip on slippery surfaces. And that's, like they say, they weren't even aiming for a 20% increase in traction, but that's what came out of the mould, basically, from all the things they've done.
Yeah.
That's where it had increased. They'd obviously increased the traction and the grip in the dry on grip surfaces anyway, but to have such an increase on a wet surface, on a slippery kind of surface, and that's, I think, where, especially on like I was saying, on some of the older bikes, like my bikes, they don't have traction control. So if you hit a slippery surface and it does slide, then it hits something that's a bit grippier, you're done. It's going to flip you off, or it's going to spin out. So having 20% extra on those surfaces that are really slippy could be the difference between sliding down the tarmac or staying up there.
Did you, we'll have a look at some footage in a minute actually, but...
All right.
Are you recording?
We are. It's all right.
Feel free to have if you want to look at some... Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Come and say hello if you want.
Very camera shy.
We'll have a look at some track footage in a second, but I was going to say, I'm sure you would have done some wet stuff as well. Did they do like any wet stuff?
No. So it was all on the dry. I mean, we were so lucky with the weather because we basically had miserable weather running up to it and after it, and on that one day, it was amazing. Yeah,
well, I remember setting off out on my tour and waiting for everyone to arrive, and I'm drinking my coffee and stuff, and looking at the Dunlop photos that were coming out of the morning. They'd set everything up, the sun were rising over Donington, and I'm like, oh,
it's perfect.
That looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like, what a day for razzing around a racetrack, testing tyres.
Yeah, and I think that's always one of those worries whenever anyone books a track day. Is like, oh, what if?
Yeah.
What if I've just booked it on the wrong day and it's going to be horrific?
Yeah.
But, you know, by going off what they said about this tyre, we'd have been out there anyway, testing how grippy it was in the wet, because that's one of the things they've kind of focused on in making it. So full morning on track. Well, I say morning, I think we were on track by 9 o'clock until about, I think it was about 1 o'clock by the time we stopped for dinner. Did 4 sessions, really good sessions. I opted to go into the slow group just to get my head around the bike and the track without any kind of pressure.
Yeah. And was this something that you could change later on if you wanted to?
I could have. I probably should have actually. By the time I'd done the second session, I was probably quick enough to go into it anyway. By the end of the 4th session, I definitely should have been in Inters, really. I'd really found my feet with it. I was picking up pace. The tyres never gave me a moment of doubt.
Okay, that's
so
nice.
You start then going, right, well, I'm going to...
You've got the confidence to portion.
The other thing as well with the R9 was it's got the stability, traction control, all that kind of stuff. And the only way I can liken it is like riding a 125.
Yeah.
You can ride a 125, come out of a bend, absolutely full throttle it, and know nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it did that. So you'd come out of a bend, you could full throttle it, and the bike would only accelerate as much as it would allow. And as you pick the bike up and it found traction, it would seem to launch more, you know? So I never had any moments, just... And having never done Donington, it's a real flowy track. You're hardly ever upright. You know, so there's only a few places where you're down a straight, and the rest of it, you're going down craner curves or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm dead chuffed you had a good time. I've never done that by myself, by the way. I've never been on Donington. I would love to do it, but I'm so pleased you could step in and do the day and enjoy it. It's a very personal thing, tyres, but to have something that you can again gel with like that, and you think, hang on a minute, that actually feels great.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you can get that confidence, because it counts for such a lot when you're on the bike. I've had people over the years thinking they hate the bike that they've just bought because it's horrible to ride, and like, it's absolutely not the bike.
Yeah.
Get rid of those tyres and put a different set on. It will completely transform it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice when you can have a tyre that's great. So you've got some footage for me, I believe. Brilliant. So you filmed the whole lot, did you? There's all kinds of different things on there.
There's 2 sessions on there. I wish I'd kept it on for the last session. I didn't, because it was a little bit last minute. We didn't know if we were having a 4th session.
Yeah.
So I just jumped on the bike and went. But that 4th session I got in a bit of I was playing around with an S1000RR.
Yeah.
And I think it was a Panigale. And they were taking it a little bit steady on the bends, but they had the legs on me on the straight.
Yeah.
But I managed to go around the outside of the S1000RR down craner curves. And then
I nearly broke into the Eminem song then. Round the outside.
outside. And then I managed to get up the inside of the Panigale into the old hairpin. Nice. Which, like, you're talking 2 full thoroughbred superbikes with every traction control that I had. But I felt like I could just manipulate the bike I was on to ride around the outside.
Again, it goes back to your confidence on the tyres. That's brilliant. So,
yeah, there was no kind of looking at the track going, oh, this is the grippy line and that's the slippy bit out there.
Yeah,
it never.
You just got the freedom to. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I'm really looking forward to watching this. So let's plug it in and we'll see what we can get on with. Thanks, Phil, for doing that. And I'm glad you had a great day. Let's watch this together because I'm looking forward to it. Let's plug it in.
So we've had the briefing. Just getting my kit on to go out on track. But it's been that long since I've done anything like this. I'm getting really bad imposter syndrome. Just like, I'm here with journalists, racers, people who do this all the time. It's not going to stop me. But, yeah, a new track, a bike I've never ridden. Just want to, I mean, with anything I do on bikes, it's just about having fun. And that's what I'm here to do. But at the same time, there is an element of intimidation. The tyre, though, going off the briefing, I literally had no idea. I've read magazine articles and all sorts about tyres. I had no idea how much goes into a tyre. And this sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Certainly way better than anything I've probably ever experienced before. So let's go for it. Right, there goes nothing. Donington Park, Dunlop tyres test. My first ever tyre test. Hopefully it's the first of many. So just done the sighting laps and the first session on track. Surprising, like considering I've never been here before, it's surprising how comfortable I was on the circuit. Really impressed. Something that they were saying in the briefing this morning about the tyres was they focused on, I mean, it's a road spec tyre that can do track. They focused on cold grip and also on like slippery surface grip. So if you hit like a white line or a grid or something like that, there's actually quite an elevated amount of grip over the older tyres, which, I mean, for this, it gives you a bit of confidence when you go out and the tyre's cold, but also I think this would suit, especially like a road bike, maybe like, I mean, like the bikes I'm into, the classic super bikes, there's no rider aids, so you need that little bit extra, just, I mean, having that extra grip in the cold or wet on slippery surfaces could be the difference between it just spinning up and not. So I definitely need to get out of that mindset of riding an old bike though, the classic super bikes, because these have got traction control. I'm braking down into Melbourne Loop and you can feel ABS kicking in as it's trying to stop. So it's a steep learning curve, but I've got plenty left and I'm taking it nice and steady. So hopefully we're all good. I definitely need to thank RichyVida for letting me come out and take his place on this, because it's pretty awesome. what? You get off and you look at it and you go, is that all I did?
I was struggling
Okay,
with
so I'm here with Dimitri, who's the product manager for Dunlop Tyres, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his new RoadSmart tyre. Is it RoadSmart?
No, it's
Right.
RoadSmart is our sport touring range, and the road-focused sports tyres are SportSmart. So this is we're talking about the Mk4 now, SportSmart Mk4. So which is the fourth iteration of our road-focused premium sports tyre. The first one came out around 2010, first generation SportSmart. Then we had the SportSmart 2 3 years later, which evolved into the SportSmart 2 Max, but that was still the same base. Then in 2019 we had the Mark 3s, which were launched. And so the Mark 4s have been launched end of 24. So it's still a very recent product on the market.
So what are the challenges making a sports road tyre versus just doing a pure track tyre?
You need to consider more compromises and a wider application range. So they need to work in different conditions than a pure sport tyre would. So wet performance, longevity is also a thing. For example, people that do long trips in the mountains, there's a lot of stress on the tyres, a lot of wear, so you want to have a tyre that lasts for the trip, and that can be anything between 4,000 and 10,000 kilometers depending on what you're going to do, covering large distance stretches, long stretches on motorways to get to your playground, which is usually the mountains.
Yeah.
So you still want to end up there with a tyre which is good for the job.
Right.
Wet conditions, cold conditions, up in the mountains in the morning can be really cold, could be freezing cold. So road-focused sports tyres have to cope with a lot more than the track-focused siblings, and that's where the difficulty lies.
That's where the difficulty.
Make a product that meets all those different requirements.
You were saying you've increased like slippery surface grip, so things
Yes.
that like any painted white lines or grids and things.
The key changes are handling, so better agility, easier direction changes, wet grip, spectacular progress actually. We weren't aiming for a 20% increase in those conditions, but that's what we ended up with.
Right.
Building tyres is a bit like cooking. There's a lot of high tech involved, but in the end it's also experience and trying out different combinations of components, additives, things like grip resins, silica, matching those with the latest polymers, so with the basic rubber compounds which we use. And then it might be that you end up with a very different outcome than you were initially expecting, despite all the computer simulation and all the knowledge acquired over the years.
There's just so many factors that could change it.
So many variables indeed, so yeah.
And you were saying about you've changed the sidewall depth on the rear tyre?
No, so the gauge, the thickness, the construction of the rears in the sidewall area has changed a lot.
Okay.
So they're more supple, gives more compliance, but also a bigger footprint.
Yes.
So more rubber on the road, but at high lean, not when riding in a straight line or at moderate lean angles, but really high levels of lean. Key focus is on road riding, so that compliance there on bad roads, badly maintained roads or damaged roads. In many parts of Europe, that is quite an important thing. I think in the UK, it's a thing.
Especially,
Yeah.
I think that's why we've seen an increase in the adventure bike market over here, purely because the roads are so bad. You need something with long suspension.
Yeah.
But yet, Joe, from taking them out on track, I've been blown away by it. The tyres, not once does it give you any kind of a hint of doubt when you're peeling in. Even, Joe, when you're trail braking and you're braking into the corner, it feels really solid. So yeah, I've been well impressed. What I'd like to do is take these out on the road and give them a test on the road, which would be really good. I know something I was saying earlier was, so a lot of the bikes I ride are old super bikes where you don't have the rider aids to save you if it does lose traction, and that's where that extra grip on slippy surfaces could be the difference between the bike staying on its wheels and you coming off. So
one of my bikes is a GSXR 1000 2006.
Yeah.
So analog bike still with these on. So I run the OEM recommended pressures on the road. I found that to be the best choice in terms of handling. But even then, at those pressures, they still work very well in terms of coping with the bad roads we have in the south of Belgium.
Yeah.
But it's really for the handling, for the ease of direction change is really what I'd recommend for road usage. Even if it might appear on the high side, people are used to running lower pressures with sport size, but for road use, and that's what these are predominantly meant for, that is what I would recommend. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully I get a chance to try them out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Cheers.
There we have it. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. Something a little bit different. The brand new SportSmart Mk4 road tyre from Dunlop. Huge thank you to Dunlop for the invite and to Phil for standing in for me at super late notice. It looked like you had a great day, my friend, and speaking to you since, I know you did. So thank you very much. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that at home. Something a little bit different. The brand new SportSmart Mk4 from Dunlop.